When astronomers first detected 3I Atlas racing into our solar system at nearly 60 kilometers per second, many dismissed it as just another interstellar fragment, an icy rock flung out of some distant star system. But as the weeks passed and the object drew closer to the sun, something began to happen that no one expected. Instead of fading into the background like countless other comets, it began to swell, its coma expanding into a vast emerald haze, glowing brighter and brighter as though it carried a hidden engine deep inside. Now, as October approaches, 3I Atlas is not only defying every model of brightness prediction, it is rewriting what we thought was possible for interstellar bodies. Its light curve has broken free from expectation, its chemistry has begun to shift, and its strange green glow has scientists whispering about processes that border on the impossible. The question haunting observatories around the world is no longer what is it made of, but what is it becoming as it closes in on the sun. By early September, 3I Atlas had already shown signs of becoming something extraordinary. Its apparent magnitude leapt dramatically once it crossed within 2 astronomical units of the sun, a jump so sharp it defied every predictive model. Normally, comets brighten in steady, gradual increments as heat vaporizes surface ice. But Atlas's increase wasn't gradual. It was exponential, like a switch flipped inside its core. Observers around the world reported sudden surges in brightness that no calibration errors could explain. Amateur astronomers stacking images from backyard telescopes found it far brighter than professional databases anticipated, while spectrographs revealed that the glow was not simply from its coma, but radiating from deep within its nucleus. This suggested energy release on a scale far beyond ordinary sublimation. Was this the breakdown of exotic ices, long hidden in interstellar space? Or was something more organized at work, a process closer to engineering than chance geology? Whatever the cause, Atlas's light was no longer just a reflection of the sun. It was a signal, a beacon growing stronger by the day. What stunned scientists even more than its rapid brightening was the unmistakable green hue radiating from its coma. Typically, such a glow is caused by diatomic carbon, C2, energized by solar radiation. But early spectroscopic readings of Atlas showed no evidence of unusual amounts of C2, leaving the source of the color a mystery. Then, as it drew closer to the sun, the glow intensified into a rich emerald flare, too strong to be explained by chemistry alone. Some speculated that hidden compounds buried deep in its nucleus were volatilizing for the first time under intense heat. Others wondered whether the plasma environment surrounding Atlas was behaving like a self-organized system, channeling currents of energy that amplified specific wavelengths of light. To the casual observer, it was a beautiful anomaly, a glowing green jewel racing through the heavens. To scientists, it was an unsettling sign that this was not just a comet reacting to sunlight, but an object evolving in real time, transforming under the star's gaze in ways we barely understand. If its brightness and glow weren't strange enough, Atlas revealed another anomaly. Instead of producing a tail streaming away from the sun, it displayed an anti-tail, with plasma and dust flowing sunward, directly toward the star it should have been fleeing. This phenomenon violates centuries of cometary physics, where solar radiation pressure inevitably pushes material outward. Yet in Atlas, material appeared to be drawn forward, forming a strange sunward spear of light. Some plasma physicists suggested electromagnetic interactions were sculpting its coma in ways unseen before, while others quietly floated a darker idea, that this looked less like nature and more like control, as though magnetic fields were being harnessed to manipulate its shape deliberately. If true, then Atlas is not merely defying physics. It is bending it, behaving like an object designed to interact with solar forces in a way no natural body can. To skeptics, it is simply another bizarre cometary anomaly. To those who see deeper, it may be the strongest clue yet that Atlas is not entirely natural. As October draws nearer, astronomers face a cruel twist of fate. On October 21st, Atlas will pass into superior conjunction, aligning with the Sun and Earth in such a way that the Sun's blinding glare will make it impossible to observe from our planet. For more than a week, during the exact period when its perihelion activity is expected to peak, humanity will be blind to its transformation. Only probes stationed around Mars and beyond will have the opportunity to capture it in that critical window, but whether that data will be released to the public remains uncertain. Already, institutions have fallen into an eerie silence. No new images from Hubble, no web updates since August. The blackout comes at the most suspicious time imaginable, when Atlas is brightening fastest and its behavior is least understood. What happens as it passes behind the solar curtain may never be fully revealed, leaving the world to wonder whether what emerges afterward will be the same object that went in, or something entirely different. On October 3rd, 3I Atlas will make its closest approach to Mars, sweeping past the red planet at terrifying speed. For astronomers, this moment is crucial because, unlike Earth, Mars currently hosts a fleet of active orbiters, NASA's MAVEN, ESA's Trace Gas Orbiter, and China's Tianwen-1, all equipped with sensors capable of measuring plasma, radiation, and spectral composition in ways ground-based telescopes cannot. If Atlas's nucleus truly harbors exotic materials, or if its energy comes from something more advanced than sublimation, the Martian probes might be the only ones to capture it. Yet behind this scientific opportunity lies deep unease. Atlas's anti-tail suggests it interacts strongly with solar plasma, and as it sweeps past Mars, it could disrupt the delicate instruments orbiting the planet. Already, engineers are preparing contingency protocols, fearing that a surge in radiation or plasma flux might cripple billion-dollar missions. But the more haunting possibility is that Atlas's behavior near Mars won't just reveal its nature, it might demonstrate intent. Spectral data from late September revealed another unsettling anomaly. At first, Atlas's coma contained familiar compounds, water vapor, carbon monoxide, and small traces of diatomic carbon. But as it grew brighter, new spectral lines began to appear, lines corresponding to molecules that had no reason to exist in such abundance. The ratios of nickel and cobalt surged, while iron lines diminished, a reversal of every known cometary composition. Even more bizarre, fleeting signatures of unknown elements flickered in and out of detection, as if they existed only briefly before vanishing again. Scientists described it as a shifting chemical profile, as though Atlas were shedding layers of itself like an onion, each layer revealing something stranger than the last. To some, this is the fingerprint of a natural but exotic object, frozen for millions of years in the void. To others, it looks disturbingly like a process, an unfolding sequence, as if something buried deep inside is being unlocked in stages, triggered by proximity to the sun. Historians and archaeoastronomers have begun combing through records, and what they've found has only deepened the mystery. Ancient Chinese texts describe a green star that grew brighter until it vanished into the sun. Babylonian tablets speak of a visitor with a tail of fire that pointed against the heavens, a description eerily similar to Atlas's anti-tail. Medieval chronicles across Europe tell of a luminous emerald banner that lit the sky before disappearing in conjunction with the sun. The intervals between these accounts span millennia, but they form a haunting pattern. Every 2,200 years or so, humanity seems to witness something very much like Atlas. Could it be that this is not our first encounter with such an object, but merely the latest in a cycle that has repeated throughout history? If so, then Atlas's growth and brightness are not random anomalies. They are stages in a recurring event, one that ancient civilizations may have recorded in myth because they lacked the tools to record it in science. As October 21st approaches, the sense of helplessness intensifies. Humanity has built the most advanced telescopes in history, capable of seeing galaxies billions of light years away. And yet, in the moment we need them most, those instruments will fail us. The sun's glare will cloak Atlas during its most critical transformation, hiding what may be the most important cosmic revelation in our history. Leaks suggest that some classified satellites and probes beyond Earth's orbit will still have a line of sight, but whether that data will ever reach the public remains doubtful. To the rest of the world, the blackout will be total. When Atlas emerges on the other side of the sun, it may not look the same. It may not even be the same. And the chilling truth is that humanity will have no record of what happened during those hidden days. For the first time, we are watching the skies not as masters of observation, but as prisoners of perspective, left to wonder what secrets the solar curtain will conceal. As Atlas's coma expanded and its green glow intensified, observatories began noticing faint but consistent fluctuations in brightness, almost like heartbeat pulses rippling across its hazy envelope. Unlike random cometary outbursts, these pulses repeated with such regularity that they appeared patterned, short flashes followed by longer intervals, cycling every 43 seconds. At first, astronomers dismissed it as noise in the data, but when the same rhythms were detected by multiple independent telescopes across the globe, the possibility of coincidence evaporated. More unnerving still was that these pulses sometimes triggered synchronous flares in the antitail, as though the entire body was resonating in unison. Plasma physicists likened it to a generator or capacitor discharging energy in bursts, a behavior alien to any known natural body. If Atlas is simply an interstellar rock, how does it pulse with machine-like precision? And if it is not, then perhaps what we are witnessing is not chemistry at all but circuitry, energy systems revealing themselves as the object nears the sun. The pulses did not remain confined to Atlas alone. Instruments scattered across the solar system, MAVEN at Mars, Juno near Jupiter, even the Parker Solar Probe close to the sun, recorded faint electromagnetic distortions timed exactly with Atlas's cycles. The signals were weak but undeniable, echoing outward like ripples across a pond. This suggested that Atlas was not just a passive traveler, but an active participant in its environment, radiating disturbances powerful enough to resonate across millions of kilometers. To planetary scientists, this was almost unthinkable. Comets affect their surroundings only locally, through outgassing and dust, but never on interplanetary scales. Yet here was Atlas, creating a solar system-wide echo, detectable by machines scattered across multiple planets. Some began to suspect that the pulses were not emissions but communications, linking Atlas to something beyond our current field of vision. And if that is the case, then the object is not just arriving, it is reporting. As Atlas brightened further, speculation grew about whether its growing coma indicated structural instability. Normally, comets that flare dramatically risk breaking apart, their nuclei crumbling into fragments under the stress of heating. But what troubled scientists was that Atlas did not behave like a body nearing destruction. Instead of erratic splitting, its expansion seemed controlled, its brightness rising exponentially, but without the chaotic shedding of fragments expected at such stages. This paradox led to an unsettling theory. What if the apparent risk of fragmentation is not a weakness but a stage? What if Atlas is designed to shed layers at perihelion, not by accident, but by intent, like a seed pod releasing its contents only under the right conditions? If so, then what emerges from behind the sun may not be a diminished comet but something entirely new, something that was hidden until the crucible of solar heat unlocked it. Humanity may be bracing not for Atlas's destruction, but for its transformation. Perhaps the most haunting aspect of Atlas's approach is not what the object itself is doing, but what humanity is not being told. NASA has quietly suspended live updates from Webb's Atlas observations. The European Space Agency has redirected ground-based telescope time away from the object, citing prior commitments. China, normally eager to showcase its advances in astronomy, has issued no comment at all. Even data from amateur astronomers has mysteriously disappeared from online archives, with images and spectra flagged or taken down without explanation. The official silence is deafening, and the public is left piecing together fragments while the institutions built to reveal the universe instead conceal it. This silence is not accidental. It is deliberate, orchestrated to suppress panic or perhaps to hide discoveries too disruptive to release. But silence itself is a revelation, because if Atlas were harmless, there would be no need to withhold its truth. By early October, subtle anomalies began appearing in the orbital data of nearby asteroids. Objects in the inner belt, which had followed predictable paths for decades, suddenly showed deviations of fractions of a degree, tiny shifts, yet ones that could not be explained by gravitational interactions alone. Some analysts speculated that Atlas's plasma emissions were generating electromagnetic fields strong enough to nudge smaller bodies, like a magnet pulling iron filings. If true, This meant Atlas was not just illuminating the sky, but altering the architecture of the solar system itself. The implications were staggering. For centuries, the cosmos has been understood as a clockwork of predictable motions. But Atlas's presence suggested that unseen forces were now bending that precision. Was this an accident of exotic physics, or evidence that Atlas carried with it a field of influence designed to manipulate its surroundings deliberately? When Atlas swept past Mars, the event was anything but routine. MAVEN detected plasma spikes 10 times greater than anything previously recorded, and Tianwen-1's magnetometer briefly overloaded, forcing engineers to shut down instruments to prevent damage. More disturbing was the fact that surface rovers, Perseverance and Curiosity, both experienced unexplained glitches in communication during Atlas's closest approach, as though their signals had been drowned out by an external interference. Official reports described these as solar weather effects, but insiders hinted that the timing was too precise, too localized. For a moment, it seemed as though Atlas had reached across space, disrupting not just Mars's upper atmosphere, but the human machines stationed there. If it can affect Mars in this way, what will happen as it draws even closer to Earth's neighborhood? As its green glow intensified, astronomers noticed faint variations in the spectrum of Atlas's tail. Hidden within the shimmering emissions were repeating patterns of frequency shifts, subtle modulations buried in the noise of its light. Advanced analysis suggested these weren't random at all, but structured, like a code written in plasma. The idea that the tail could act as an antenna, broadcasting signals across space, began to gain traction. Some even suggested the anti-tail pointing toward the sun was intentional, a directed channel sending bursts of information deep into the solar system's core. To skeptics, it was atmospheric distortion or instrumental error. But to those who studied the data closely, it looked like a message, one we couldn't yet decipher, one perhaps not meant for us. And if Atlas is transmitting, then the haunting question remains: who is it talking to? Cultural historians drew chilling parallels between Atlas and ancient records of the Green Banner, a celestial apparition described in medieval chronicles. In those accounts, the banner grew brighter for weeks before vanishing into the sun, only to be followed by years of upheaval on Earth. Similar descriptions appear in Babylonian tablets and Mesoamerican codices, all pointing to an emerald phenomenon that coincided with transformations of human history. Some dismissed these as metaphor, but now, with Atlas blazing brighter each night, the parallels are impossible to ignore. The banner has returned, but this time we see it with telescopes, sensors, and spacecraft. And yet, despite our advanced tools, the same mystery remains. Is this a natural cycle of interstellar wanderers, or is it a recurring arrival, woven deliberately into the history of our world? If the latter is true, then Atlas's growing brilliance is not just light in the sky, it is a signal that the cycle has begun again. What began as a faint speck moving through the void has become a cosmic enigma that refuses to obey the rules of the universe. 3I Atlas was supposed to be just another interstellar traveler, a curiosity for astronomers and little more. But now, as it swells in size, as its glow intensifies into a blinding emerald flame, and as it pulses with rhythms that echo across the solar system, it has transformed into something far more profound. This is no longer just a comet. It is an event, one that stretches across history, myth, and physics, defying every attempt to fit it into our models. The anti-tail pointing into the sun, the pulses resonating through spacecraft and planets, the shifting chemistry that seems to unfold in deliberate stages. All of it suggests that Atlas is not merely reacting to the sun, but engaging with it. It is evolving, perhaps unlocking something buried within itself, or perhaps awakening something within our solar system. And the silence of the world's most powerful institutions tells us what we already suspect. The truth of Atlas is not something they are ready to reveal. Yet the cycle is undeniable. The green banner in ancient records, the star with 9 shadows described by Babylonian priests, the emerald torch in medieval skies, all point to this same phenomenon repeating across ages, returning to Earth like a messenger or a warning. If our ancestors witnessed it, then Atlas has been here before, and it will come again. The only difference now is that we have the instruments to see it clearly, to measure its impossible energies, and to feel the weight of its intent. When Atlas disappears behind the sun, hidden by the solar curtain, we will be blind at the very moment when it reveals its true nature. And when it emerges, brighter or altered, we will face the truth we cannot yet name. Is it a fragment of the universe carrying with it the chemistry of stars long dead? Or is it a vessel, a construct, a phenomenon guided by intelligence so old and vast that it has visited our skies for millennia? The terrifying reality is that the answer may already be unfolding. Atlas is not fading, it is growing. And as it grows, it forces us to confront the possibility that the universe is not silent, that the cosmos is not indifferent, and that we are not alone. For centuries, we have gazed at the heavens in search of meaning. Now the heavens are gazing back, with a green light that should not exist, drawing closer to the sun, closer to truth, and closer to us.